Football gives us joy, but it also shows us moments that break our hearts. These are the gut-wrenching moments you'll never forget. Eriksen's Collapse, Euro 2020. When Christian Eriksen collapsed during Denmark's Euro 2020 opener against Finland, time seemed to stand still. In the 43rd minute, Eriksen suddenly fell to the ground without any contact, leaving players and fans frozen in shock. Teammates immediately signaled for medical assistance, and the sight of Eriksen receiving CPR on the pitch was harrowing. What made this moment even more emotional was the reaction of Eriksen's teammates. Captain Simon Kjær stepped up in a way that defined leadership, ensuring Eriksen's tongue wasn't blocking his airway while rallying his teammates to form a human shield to give Eriksen privacy. Fans in the stadium united, chanting Eriksen's name as medics fought to save his life. Thankfully, Eriksen regained consciousness and was later fitted with a defibrillator, making a full recovery. The world celebrated his return to football with tears of joy, but the moment serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life on and off the pitch. Mark Vivien-Foe's tragic death, 2003. During the semi-final of the 2003 Confederations Cup, Mark Vivien-Foe collapsed while playing for Cameroon against Colombia. Without any contact or warning, Foe fell to the ground near the center circle. Medics rushed to his aid, but despite their efforts, the 28-year-old tragically passed away due to a heart condition. The football world was left in shock. Foe was in the prime of his career, a vital player for both Cameroon and his club Lyon. The emotional toll was evident during the final, where his teammates paid tribute by holding his jersey during the trophy presentation. His death sparked greater awareness of cardiac health in football, leading to mandatory heart screenings for players. Foe's memory remains a beacon of resilience, love, and the fragility of life. Fernando Torres Swallows. Tongue during match, 2017. Fernando Torres, a beloved figure in world football, experienced one of the most terrifying moments of his career during a 2017 La Liga match between Atletico Madrid and Deportivo La Coruña. In the closing stages of the game, Torres went up for an aerial duel but collided with a Deportivo defender mid-air. He landed awkwardly, his head hitting the ground with sickening force. The impact knocked Torres unconscious, and to the horror of players and fans, he appeared to have swallowed his tongue. Atletico teammates Gabi and Xime Versalco immediately rushed to his aid, using their hands to keep his airway open until medical staff arrived. The tension in the stadium was palpable, with players from both teams visibly distraught. Torres was stretchered off and taken to a hospital, where he regained consciousness and was stabilized. Thankfully, the injury wasn't life-threatening, and Torres made a full recovery. However, the sight of such a celebrated player lying motionless on the pitch remains one of the most gut-wrenching images in recent football history. The Hillsborough Disaster, 1989. April 15, 1989 was supposed to be an exciting day of football, a highly anticipated FA Cup semi-final between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest at Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield. Instead, it became one of the darkest days in football history. A poorly managed crowd at the Leppings Lane end of the stadium resulted in a human crush that claimed the lives of 96 Liverpool fans. Hundreds more were injured, and the harrowing scenes of fans pressed against barriers screaming for help left an indelible mark on the sport. The match was abandoned after 6 minutes, but by then the tragedy had already unfolded. For years, the victims' families fought for justice, as initial reports falsely blamed fans for the disaster. It wasn't until decades later that a formal inquest exonerated the supporters, ruling the deaths as unlawful killings caused by police negligence. The Hillsborough Disaster changed football forever, leading to the removal of standing terraces in English stadiums and the implementation of stricter safety regulations. But for the families of the 96, the pain endures, a reminder of the cost of systemic failures and the fragility of life in the pursuit of sport. Abdelhak Nouri suffers tragic brain damage, 2017. Abdelhak Appy, Nouri was one of Ajax's brightest talents, a midfielder destined for greatness. But during a preseason friendly in 2017, tragedy struck. At just 20 years old, Nouri collapsed on the pitch due to cardiac arrhythmia, leaving players, fans, and coaches in shock. Medics rushed to resuscitate him, but the damage was done. Nouri suffered severe brain damage caused by a lack of oxygen during the incident. The news devastated the football community. Ajax immediately retired Nouri's number. 34 jersey and tributes poured in from around the world. Teammates like Frenkie de Jong often spoke about how much Nouri meant to them, with de Jong dedicating parts of his career success to Appy's influence. In 2020, after nearly 3 years in a coma, Nouri woke up. Though he would never fully recover, his family shared touching updates of him recognizing loved ones and reacting to their voices. Videos of his family caring for him and his occasional smiles brought tears to fans across the globe. Nouri's legacy is one of love and unity. His story continues to inspire Ajax and the football world, serving as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. Nice vs. Marseille Fan Brawl, 2021. The match between Nice and Marseille in August 2021 will forever be remembered for all the wrong reasons. What began as a heated League One clash spiraled out of control in the second half. It all started when Marseille's Dimitri Payet, preparing to take a corner, was hit by a bottle thrown from the crowd. Furious, Payet hurled the bottle back into the stands, and that's when chaos erupted. Fans stormed the pitch, clashing with players and staff while security struggled to restore order. Nice's ultras were particularly aggressive, and Marseille players, including Payet and Álvaro González, found themselves in the middle of a full-blown brawl. Even staff members got involved. Marseille's fitness coach Pablo Fernandez was seen throwing punches at fans, adding to the chaos. The referee halted the match, but tensions didn't ease. Marseille refused to continue the game, citing safety concerns, while Nice argued for the match to resume. League One later ruled on the incident, handing out bans and fines to both teams and individuals involved. This ugly moment wasn't just gut-wrenching, it was a stark reminder of the volatility that can erupt when emotions boil over, both on and off the pitch. Andrés Escobar's own goal, 1994 World Cup. In the 1994 World Cup, Colombia entered as dark horses, tipped by many to challenge for the title. But their campaign took a tragic turn in the group stage against the USA. Attempting to cut off a cross, Andrés Escobar inadvertently deflected the ball into his own net. Colombia lost the match 2-1, crashing out of the tournament early. Upon his return to Medellin, Escobar was tragically shot and killed outside a nightclub. Many believe his murder was retribution for the own goal, as it reportedly cost local betting syndicates millions. Escobar's death sent shockwaves through the football world, highlighting the dangerous intersections between sport and societal pressures. Known as the gentleman of football, Escobar's legacy is now a call for change, reminding us that no game should ever cost a life. David Busst's career-ending injury, 1996. David Busst's injury during Coventry City's match against Manchester United is one of the most horrifying incidents in football history. Just 2 minutes into the game, Busst collided with Dennis Irwin and Brian McClair while attempting to score. The result was a compound fracture that shattered both the tibia and fibula in his right leg. The sight was so gruesome that Peter Schmeichel, United's goalkeeper, needed counseling after witnessing it. The game was delayed for 15 minutes as blood was cleaned from the pitch, and Busst underwent 26 surgeries to prevent infection. Although he never played again, Bust's recovery and later work in football development became an inspiration, showing resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity. Son's horrific tackle on Andre Gomes, 2019. In November 2019, Tottenham's son Heung-min found himself at the center of one of the Premier League's most distressing moments. During a match against Everton, Son slid in for a late tackle on Andre Gomes, who then collided awkwardly with Serge Aurier. The result was horrifying. Gomes suffered a dislocated ankle and a fractured leg, leaving him writhing in agony on the pitch. The reaction was immediate and emotional. Players from both sides were visibly shaken, some turning away in shock while others dropped to their knees. Son, typically a cheerful and composed figure, broke down in tears, devastated by the unintended outcome of his challenge. Aurier too needed consoling as the severity of the injury became apparent. Gomes underwent successful surgery shortly after, and his incredible recovery became a beacon of resilience in football. He returned to action less than a year later, drawing applause from fans and players alike. The incident highlighted not only the physical risks of football but also the mental toll on those involved. Son's heartfelt apologies and Gomes's triumphant comeback served as a reminder of the humanity at the heart of the sport. Eduardo's leg break, 2008. Arsenal's 2008 season was full of promise, but it all unraveled in a single moment. Against Birmingham City, Eduardo suffered a horrific injury after a reckless tackle by Martin Taylor. His leg bent unnaturally, leaving players and fans horrified. The aftermath was just as devastating. Arsenal dropped points that day, and the psychological impact seemed to derail their title challenge. Eduardo eventually returned to football, but he was never the same player. His injury became a symbol of how fragile a footballer's career can be, and Arsenal fans were left to wonder what might have been. Neymar's injury, 2014 World Cup. Brazil entered the 2014 World Cup with dreams of reclaiming glory on home soil, and at the center of those dreams was Neymar. The 22-year-old forward was in the form of his life, scoring key goals and carrying the hopes of an entire nation. In the quarterfinals against Colombia, Neymar dazzled once again, but in the 88th minute, tragedy struck. A knee to his lower back from Juan Camilo Zúñiga left Neymar writhing on the ground in agony. As Neymar was stretchered off, tears streaming down his face, the reality of his injury set in. A fractured vertebra would rule him out of the tournament. The Brazilian fans who adored Neymar as their golden boy were heartbroken. The semi-final that followed added salt to the wound. Without Neymar, Brazil suffered a humiliating 7-1 defeat to Germany, a loss that still haunts Brazilian football. Neymar's absence loomed large, and his emotional injury became a symbol of the nation's heartbreak. Though he eventually returned to the pitch, the memory of his tears that day remains one of the most gut-wrenching moments in World Cup history. Barcelona's collapse versus Liverpool, 2019. Barcelona's 3-0 lead over Liverpool in the first leg of the 2019 Champions League semi-final seemed insurmountable. But at Anfield, Liverpool delivered one of the greatest comebacks in football history. Missing key players like Mohamed Salah and Roberto Firmino, Liverpool's odds looked slim, but goals from Divock Origi and Jorginho Wijnaldum leveled the tie. The defining moment came when Trent Alexander-Arnold caught Barcelona's defense napping with a quick corner to Origi, who scored the decisive fourth goal. The Barcelona players were shell-shocked, unable to respond as the final whistle confirmed their elimination. For the Catalan Giants, it was humiliation. For Liverpool, it was pure euphoria. It was a night that reminded us of football's unpredictability and the heartbreak of shattered dreams. Roberto Baggio's miss, 1994 World Cup Final. The World Cup final is every footballer's dream, but for Roberto Baggio, it became a nightmare. After carrying Italy through the tournament with his brilliance, the final against Brazil came down to penalties. With Brazil leading 3-2 in the shootout, Baggio had to score to keep Italy's hopes alive. But under the immense pressure, he blasted the ball over the bar. Brazil erupted in celebration while Baggio stood motionless, staring at the ground. For years, he was haunted by that miss, admitting it was a weight he carried long after his career ended. Despite his greatness, that single moment became the defining image of his career, a painful reminder of football's unforgiving nature. Lionel Messi's Copa America losses, 2015 and 2016. Lionel Messi, one of the greatest players of all time, has experienced immense success in his career, but for years, international glory eluded him. The back-to-back Copa America finals in 2015 and 2016 were the most painful chapters in his story. In 2015, Argentina faced Chile in the final. Despite Messi's brilliance throughout the tournament, the match ended 0-0 and went to penalties. Chile triumphed, leaving Messi heartbroken. But the following year's final was even more devastating. Once again, Argentina faced Chile, and once again, the match ended in a penalty shootout. This time, Messi missed his penalty, and Chile were crowned champions for the second consecutive year. The sight of Messi sitting on the pitch, head in his hands, broke the hearts of millions. Shortly after, in an emotional post-match interview, Messi announced his retirement from international football, saying, "The national team is not for me." The football world rallied behind him, with fans and players urging him to reconsider, and he did. In 2021, Messi finally lifted the Copa America trophy, ending years of heartbreak. But the scars of those 2015 and 2016 defeats remain, a testament to the highs and lows of his extraordinary journey. Karius's Champions League nightmare, 2018. The 2018 Champions League final between Liverpool and Real Madrid was supposed to be a showcase of world-class football, but for Loris Karius it became a personal nightmare. In the second half, with the score at 0-0, Karius made a catastrophic mistake, throwing the ball directly into Karim Benzema's path for an easy goal. Liverpool fought back to equalize, but Karius's nightmare wasn't over. Later in the match, he mishandled a long-range strike from Gareth Bale, allowing it to slip through his hands and into the net. Liverpool lost 3-1, and Karius was inconsolable after the match, tearfully apologizing to the fans. It was later revealed that Karius had suffered a concussion earlier in the match after an elbow from Sergio Ramos, potentially impairing his decision-making. Despite this, the criticism was relentless, and his confidence never fully recovered. The final marked the end of his time at Liverpool, but for many fans, the sight of Karius in tears remains one of the most heartbreaking moments in Champions League history. Christian Atsu's tragic death in Turkey-Syria earthquake, 2023. The football world was rocked by tragedy in February 2023 when news broke that Christian Atsu, the Ghanaian international and former Premier League star, was among the victims of the devastating Turkey-Syria earthquake. The 7.8 magnitude quake caused widespread destruction, claiming thousands of lives, including Atsu's. Atsu, who was playing for Turkish club Hatayspor at the time, was initially reported as rescued after the earthquake struck. However, as the days passed, conflicting reports emerged and hopes began to fade. On February 18th, nearly 2 weeks after the disaster, Atsu's body was found beneath the rubble of his apartment building in Hatay. Known for his electrifying pace and skill, Atsu had a career that spanned clubs like Newcastle United, Chelsea, and Porto. But beyond his footballing talents, Atsu was celebrated for his humility and charitable work. He frequently supported underprivileged communities in Ghana, funding education and helping those in need. His death left the football community heartbroken. Tributes poured in from former teammates, clubs, and fans worldwide, with many remembering him not just as a gifted player but as a kind and compassionate human being. The earthquake that claimed Atsu's life was one of the deadliest in modern history, and his passing serves as a painful reminder of the fragility of life. Atsu's legacy, both on and off the pitch, will continue to inspire those who knew him and admired him from afar. Gianluigi Donnarumma's face injury versus Monaco, 2024. In 2024, Paris Saint-Germain star goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma endured one of the most harrowing moments of his career during a League One match against AS Monaco. While attempting to save a close-range shot, Donnarumma collided violently with Monaco's onrushing forward, taking a direct blow to his face. The impact left Donnarumma bleeding profusely, collapsing to the ground in visible agony as players from both teams immediately signaled for medical assistance. What made the incident even more shocking was the referee's decision not to penalize the Monaco player involved. Despite the severity of the collision and its consequences, no yellow card was issued, sparking outrage among PSG fans and football pundits alike. Many felt the challenge was reckless and that such a serious injury demanded stricter officiating. As medics worked to control the bleeding and stabilize Donnarumma, the stadium fell silent, reflecting the gravity of the moment. The Italian keeper was eventually stretchered off, his face bandaged and his team visibly shaken. Social media erupted with messages of support, while debates over the lack of disciplinary action continued long after the match. Donnarumma later reassured fans that he was recovering, posting a heartfelt message of gratitude. Paul Gascoigne's tears, 1990 World Cup. The 1990 World Cup was a magical run for England, reaching the semi-finals for the first time in 24 years. At the heart of it was Paul Gascoigne, or Gazza, a player whose talent and passion electrified the nation. But in the semi-final against West Germany, Gazza picked up a yellow card for a reckless tackle, ruling him out of a potential final if England advanced. The realization hit Gazza immediately, and as the match continued, tears streamed down his face. His raw emotion was palpable, capturing the hearts of fans around the world. England eventually lost in a penalty shootout, with the image of a tearful Gazza consoling his teammates becoming one of the most iconic moments in football history. For Gazza, the tears symbolized his love for the game and his heartbreak at letting down his team. Even now, decades later, his emotional display is remembered as a reminder of the human side of football, where passion and heartbreak collide on the biggest stage. Chapecoense plane crash, 2016. The Chapecoense football team was living a fairy tale, reaching the Copa Sudamericana final for the first time in their history. But tragedy struck on November 28, 2016, as their chartered flight crashed en route to the match, killing 71 of the 77 people on board. The football world was plunged into mourning. Among the victims were players, coaches, journalists, and crew members, while 6 survivors, including 3 players, miraculously escaped with their lives. The loss devastated the small Brazilian town of Chapecoense, where the team had become a symbol of hope and pride. Clubs around the world offered support, with Atlético Nacional, Chapecoense's opponents in the final, requesting that the trophy be awarded to the Brazilian team as a tribute. The story of Chapecoense's rebuilding effort, driven by sheer determination and unity, became a beacon of resilience in the face of unimaginable loss. Even today, the memory of the Chapecoense plane crash serves as a sobering reminder of how fleeting life can be, and the global football community continues to honor the lives lost on that fateful day. These moments remind us that football is more than a game. It's life in all its beauty, pain, and unpredictability. We celebrate the highs, but the lows stay with us, shaping the stories we tell. Which gut-wrenching moment do you remember most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories from the world of football. Thanks for watching.